Content warnings have been listed in the description and timestamped as to avoid immediate spoilers. Be sure to check them out if you think anything in this video will negatively affect your viewing experience. Before we proceed, I would like to apologize to the prosecution for acting like a bitch, but I just love poking at that character, like, seriously. You know, we've been hyping him up as this, like, best boy, best bro, with such huge ambitions, like, can't go wrong, we all cried over him, like, hysterically. And so, when you have such an idolized character like that, it's just so much more fun to poke at him. So, nevertheless, I don't think my bitchiness was warranted. Pray do forgive the discourtesy. Anyway, moving on. Oh, there you are, though! What kept you, my dear fellow? A rant. I'm sorry. Hello, Mr. Soames. Gina. You sure about what you're saying there? That the boss, you know, actually died the day before. It's pretty hard to swallow. It's just a theory for now. I was shocked by the revelation too, Gina. As was I! Possibly more shocked than both of you! Aren't we all? It's not a competition, Mr. Soames. I was more shocked than all of you put together, how about that? This is the autopsy report in question, is it? Yes. It's strange that there's no time of death noted. I suppose there's a simple explanation. Or perhaps it was a deliberate omission? Oh dear, if it was deliberate, it puts me in mind of the last case we worked on, and Dr. Sith. I know. Anyway, it seems that on the day before Lord Von Zeus discovered his body, Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, so perhaps something happened with them. Come to think of it, you had trouble with those League men too, didn't you, Mr. Soames? You were taken in by their trick. No! Naturally, I wasn't taken in, as you put it. My sleuth-hound interest was merely piqued slightly by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. And that scent masks the underlying scent of deception, I suppose. The two criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? In Mr. Soames' suite, I mean. That's right, Zeus. And it was me what took him in. Thanks to a tip off by a good law-abiding citizen. Indeed. Yours truly. So it's going to be that pair in the witness stand next, is it? Something doesn't quite make sense to me, though. The day before Inspector Gregson was found, you hadn't had trouble with the Red-Headed League yet, had you? Why would the inspector have been investigating them? Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuth-hound interest was piqued by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. Don't tar him with the same brush as you, Soames! Yes, well, then there's the whole issue of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Von Zeus for some reason. The Reaper, the Red-Headed League, Inspector Gregson, Lord Von Zeus, and Cosmo. I feel as though he knew we'd arrive at this point somehow. Gosh, I think you're right! What's he really trying to achieve here today? All the answers will soon be revealed. Observe the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly. You're right. Cosmo was determined that he should be the one to prosecute this trial. He was determined that I should take the defense. Just what is he hoping to make me see, I wonder? I get the feeling we're a long way from the end of this trial yet. Are you ready then, Mr. Sato? Yes! Alright, let's go! Oof. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearing of Baroque von Zieks, he present who stands accused of murder. Now then, Prosecutor Sogi. My lord. Have you summoned the witnesses as requested? Yes, the 2 members of the Red-Headed League who planned and carried out the deception. They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage. Very good. Bailiff, usher the 2 men into the courtroom. These 2 men are currently being held by the police on suspicion of attempted extortion. You may omit your occupations, but state your names now for the court. I am Fabien de Rousseau, a descendant of the great Rousseau family from Nice en France. And my name is Peppino de Rossi. I'm the son of the great family de Rossi, the landowners from Napoli. The 2 men first became acquainted at a boarding school for European nobility. Ooh. Those who graduate from Temzik are the future leaders of Europe. But, do you have any idea how boring it is to be born with noble blood? Alors, I'm making my mission to get the better of the world by employing the little grey cells of my brain. That is all I am trying to do, huh? So, that's the only reason for this whole grand deception you've been carrying out? Oui, you could say that. Not bad, eh? He has the grand ideals, but the petty plans. This strange combination is the charm of the hilarious Block Brothers. See, Capo? Listen to me, Peppino. I have 2 things to say to you. Okay? Are you about to tell me one of your grande anecdotes? Viva! Firstly, I want you to stop calling me this Capo. And secondly, you're not the hilarious brothers. This is serious business, no? Que bello! There it is! The Capo's trump card! The photo brow! It is deep, huh, Capo? The photo and the meaning of your words. The court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from unsuspecting members of the public. Is this true? Oui, c'est ça. And what exactly was the nature of this deception by which you planned to defraud? Alors, I will explain it. No, Capo! Leave it to me! As you see, we both have the vivid red hair, no? At school, we were teased for this without pity. The Capo he was many times behind the schoolhouse crying like the Trevi fountain. Yes, those dogs, one day severe will respect us redheads. Every night he would bury his head in his pillow and we... C'est bien, Peppino, enough! I will explain the rest. The first step was a newspaper advertisement. About 1 week before the plan was put into operation, we listed the same notice in every paper in London. Yes, we saw that notice. It was this one, I believe, entitled To the Red-Headed League. Oui, c'est ça. I am honored that you have seen it. It states that the only condition for joining the league is having flame-colored hair, and that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted into the league, you could receive a weekly income of £4. On the date specified, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at a park specified in the advertisement. And from each person present, this pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. And with the money to France, it was a plan most elegant, no? No, it was most dishonourable. But to be frank, I'm stunned anybody was foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick. The park was described by one witness as choked with red-headed folk, like a Costas orange barrow. And the day on which all these men gathered to apply was the day before the victim was discovered. Crucially, these two men spoke face to face with every single person present that day. Oui, I have seen more red-headed people in one day than I would see in the rest of my life. See, and now, every time I see the couple's hair, I feel sick to my stomach. Anyway, why have we been summoned here today? Sorry? The date for our trial was not until tomorrow, I was told. Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial. They've only been shown this photograph. Very good. So, Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court on the subject of the gentleman pictured in this photograph. Of course, we are always ready to help with the law. Sure. Let's go. We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assemble in the park on Lime Street that day. But I don't recall the man in this photograph, Capo? No, I don't remember him. Obviously, he's dead now, but I assure you, he was not in the pack. Laura, this victim has nothing to do with us. You have a lot to answer for, Peppino. It is your fault that we got caught in the first place. Never mind that. You've given sworn testimony that this man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain? Oui, I am quite certain. We did not interview this man. Nobody looking like this came to the park. This I can promise. It must be noted that you have been arrested for a grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurances. Arthur, with this attitude, we get to nowhere. He's really a sulking now. This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard. It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated the day before the incident. It reads Lime Street, Red-Headed League, undercover. I have the answer. Maybe there was another similar event in the park on the day in question, eh? Wouldn't you know about it? That is ridiculous. There's no question that Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, which means it's quite possible that that's when he was killed. Very well, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination now. Yes, my lord. Interesting. Okay, I think I'm just gonna press this time. 1,000 people. That's a very big crowd. At a park.
It was quite a spectacle. Redheads had come from all over the capital.
See, the capo, he has the magnetismo animale. Nobody else could attract so many people. If I could be born again, I would be the capo.
All those people wanted was the money, Peppino. The poor £4 per week.
Are you suggesting that you spoke personally with all 1,000 applicants?
Oui, that we did, because every one of them paid us 5 shillings.
We take the names and we take the money, and we take the address as well. And then I tell them we take some days to let them know by a post e finito. Maybe 2 minuti a person. We start early in the morning and we stop late in the night. You earn 5,000 shillings in one day? That's a small fortune. Who'd have thought there were 1,000 such gullible redheads in London to start with? I'm not sure if they were all natural redheads though. One of them was a great detective with chemically altered hair. The things you do for money. You don't recall the man in this photograph? Hold it! Is that the sort? He doesn't look at all familiar. No, I don't think so. It is weird, eh? He was trying to trick us. I don't like people who are trying to trick the other people. Says the con artist. If between them they interviewed 1,000 people with red hair, it would be unreasonable to expect them to remember every face. No, signore. I may be small, but my memory is very large. I never forget a thing. In my opinion, I do not think this man was in the park. But he's not going to give the call a definite, it seems. El Capo, you didn't see a man like this, huh? They're adamant about it. I mean, we can't prove that they did see him. Hold it! But according to what you've said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day.
Oui, that's true. My eyes were burning by the end of the day.
Surely then, you can't actually remember every single face. How are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present? Normally the red hair, it's very distinctive, yeah? But not when you have 1,000 redheads crowding around. Then it's just an eyesore. But if there was some other information you could give us, maybe then we could recall. Do we have...
That is not the line, Peppino. Remember, we do not remember him. We are sure of that fact, huh?
Ha! Okay, anyway, wait. Let's see if we have any proof that places him at this at their thingo. Not by the look of it, no. Or was he carrying this? I'm not sure how much they care, to be honest. But yeah, what's this line all about?
There was a man with a red hairpiece, but his mustache does not match the color. Then I do not think I could have forgotten him.
Cosimo said that these two had only been shown that photograph and they'd been told nothing else at all. But what if I fed them just one other detail? Namely... I mean, let's just try it. I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. But what if I told you that the man was always munching on a packet of fish and chips? Do you remember a man who was eating incessantly?
Not really. I was looking only at the heads of the applicants. I wouldn't have noticed the fish and chips any more than the caviar and smoked salmon. Oh god, stop talking about food. Oh, the spaghetti! Me? I love the spaghetti! Really? I had no idea! What? No! Tell them again what you said before, Peppino. See, Capo, see! I say it again and again! Laura, this victim has nothing to do with us.
Hold it!
But we only have your word for that. See, but what else can we do, huh? True. Alpha, we're not having much fun these days. First we get arrested, then are shown the horrible picture of a dead man. And now you question every single thing we say. We are the victims here. Hey, Capo. Oh, you were caught carrying a plot to swindle hundreds of innocent people. Mamma mia. You want to bring that up, eh? It's not fair. Hey, Capo. I'm so sorry, Italians. You have a lot to answer for, Peppino. It is your fault. Are you going to tell us about that? I'm mildly curious. What do you mean by that? Cavolo, you promised not to say it, Capo. After we had taken all the money that day, we should have left the country. That was my plan. I left the purchasing of the tickets for the ferry to Dunkirk to my companion here. But he bought them for the wrong day. Oops. See, but it is an easier mistake to make, huh? The first, the 31st, it's also the same to me. Woof! I have no sympathy for you. Yeah, an all day late for the boat because of your stupidity. And it is only because of this that the so-called great red-headed detective caught us. Ha! Capo, you know what I think? This is the work of God. It's only on punishment, eh? Peppino, for the last time. This is not only punishment. This is only your fault. Ah! Don't blame God for your unholy mistakes. You're making me sick with anger. Maybe I make a mistake, but when it's time to eat the pasta, nobody is faster. And I've seen the evidence. They haven't told us much that we didn't already know. What do you think, Mr. Nuddlehuddle? Well, if it was in the inspector's diary, it seems likely that he must have gone to Library Street that day. And yet, these two both claim they didn't see him. I have to say, they don't appear to be telling lies. They are experts in deception, don't forget. Sounding plausible is their specialty. They may be lying simply to avoid being implicated in this case as well. Surely if they were truly experts in deception, they wouldn't have been caught. You do have a point. Well, they're only human. It seems to me like we need more information. Definitely. I'm gonna see if I can coax some more then. With that one statement. Is it this one? I think it was this one. I don't remember. So, you didn't pay attention to food. Alright, that's not gonna work. Let's ask more leading questions. I mean, honestly, like, why would he blow his cover? We need leads here, so... I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. But what if I told you that the man in the red hairpiece was actually a detective? The man in the photograph? A detective? Yes. It would appear he found your notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito. sorry, but this changes nothing. Eh?
Excuse me.
Okay. Something to add, Mr. De Rossi? Yeah, see, I'm always adding something. Parsimon, olive oil, pepper. What I meant was, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance? What did he just say about the detective? Yes, sir. Keep your mouth shut, Peppino. You have said enough already. But why, Capo? What is the problem? There was a man who said, I am the inspector from Scotland Yard. Good Lord! Order! Explain this. What's false in your testimony, witness? It's simple. A man who was... There was no such man. Madai, what do you say, Capo? Have you forgotten, eh? I've forgotten nothing. Nothing like this. Nobody like this came to the back. Why are you trying to hide this? Basta, Capo, basta. You beat me at many things, but not two. The memory and the meals. Like I said, when it's time to eat the pasta, nobody is the faster. But you are inferior to me in every other way. So shut up!
Objection.
Tota, the damage is done. Indeed it is, sir. Oui, there was a man who came to the back and said he was an inspector from Scotland Yard. However, he looked nothing like the man in the photograph. He was someone else. How can you be so sure? Because to start with, this face is completely different. See, it's true. The man who came was younger. His face was clean shaven, his eyes were sadder, his chin was thinner. No resemblance whatsoever then. Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to him, if you are really a detective, show us the proof. See, the capo, he doesn't take no nonsense, eh? But he was well prepared. He said he had identification. Identification? You mean official police inspector's identification? That is most unconvincing. Sorry, my lord? Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It's quite out of the question. Why would he expose his true identity? Clearly the papers were fake. Certo, capo, you are a genius. As we say in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize another, eh? And what happened after he announced he was a detective? He became very annoying. He said you are under investigation. So I took his papers from him and chased him out the back. It was fantastico. And look, here is the identification. So you stole it from the man. He had it coming. He made us very scared. But he was not who he said he was. Indeed, the person described does not appear to have behaved as a true inspector would. However, I believe it would be prudent for these identification papers to be entered into evidence. But I like them. Too bad. Now, let us return to the witness testimony while I peruse these papers. Oh.
Oh well, let's just open it. Well, I suppose we should see what this inspector's identification looks like inside. Yes, it definitely looks fake, doesn't it? Out of interest, what name is given? Probably just something plucked out of the air. It's Tobias Gregson. What? The Scotland Yard insignia. It's genuine to me. How? And the department and identification number details are all correct as well. You know all that. Since when have you known those? Do you mean to say... I know it seems incredible, but yes. I think this is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. How did... It's unbelievable! This is the real thing after all! Get out of here! Looks fake. I mean, I don't know. How do you know it's fake? Not sure what procedures were like that back then. It's nothing to do with us. Is that the so? I beg to differ.
Objection.
I wonder if I could ask you to examine this identification book very closely. Miss Lestrade? Why Miss Lestrade? What is your intention here, Counsel? Is this really a fake, or is it genuine? Well, that's a question, which we can't answer ourselves.
Objection.
Don't be ridiculous! No Scotland Yard detective will allow his or her identification to be stolen. Hold it! That is the boss's! No question about it! It can't be! As I suspected. The undercover detective who attended the Red-Headed League's enrollment on the day in question was the real Inspector Gregson. Okay, but it's just his ID. Zutala! What's going on here? Order! I mean, they could be lying, but still. But if the boss had his identification stolen, he would have reported straight away. I mean, he was always on me about it. If you lose something, report it at once, he'd say. Could it be then that the inspector was physically unable to report it? Hey, what are you saying? You're not suggesting. Yes, it's quite possible he was killed before he had the chance to report his identification stolen. No! Order! The defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered, at a different location. Do you two have anything to say about that? Pull yourself together, Pipino! Mon Dieu, you can behave a lot more like a master criminal than that, no? To Italia! Okay, I know someone else made that joke, but it's funny. Stop crying, Pipino, please, otherwise Why everybody's crying? Lummy, stop your whining and start talking! Well, I believe the court will need to hear your story and I'm not but you will tell everything, or face the worst possible outcome. Go dry your eyes. and testify again about these identification papers and the precise circumstances under which you came by them. I am so sorry to that person that stole that joke from, but it's so funny. For crying out loud! For crying! The detective and the identification, what's this?
The truth is, we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case. We took the man's identification from him and shot him in the room next to us. There might have been a little tussle, but I didn't know. And next morning, we let him go. He spent the night in the nice room. It was nothing like prison, really.
I'm sorry. This is outrageous! You imprisoned the man!
But no, it was not like a prison. It was very comfortable and calm and happy. Hey, capo! It was never part of my plan, swear it! Oh, so you think it was my fault, eh? Just because I got the date of the very wrong, I want a little day. I do not think it was your fault, Pino, I knew it! No, per favore, capo, it's not fair!
We shall have plenty of time for squabbling back at the prison, gentlemen! Yes!
I do not believe this! How can you're a detective?
Counsels for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination. So on the day before the incident, Grayson spent the night confined in this pair's hideout. I did not process any of that. I'm gonna have a once-over. Took him prisoner. Okay. I mean, not okay, but believable. I didn't think he was a real detective. Yeah, okay, if that's your reason. At least it makes sense. I'm not saying it's right, but it makes sense. We took the man, shot him in the room. Okay. A little tussle. We let him go. I'm gonna press this. What do you mean by a little tussle exactly?
Buff, it was nothing, just a minor incident. The false inspector, he was a real piece of work, eh, capo?
What happened?
Well, it was a disaster. We gave him a nice room, and what does he do, huh? In the middle of the night, he tries to escape through the ventilatore.
Can you blame him?
We chased him, bien sûr, and we got him again. Can you blame us?
You didn't shoot the man in your haste, did you? Leading question.
Zut, who do you think we are? Of course not. I simply got hold of them again and took him back to the room.
It looks like I'm gonna have to give another flash warning because I was not expecting that.
Excuse me.
That wasn't it, was it? This one's a loose lip one. Mr. De Rossi, is something wrong?
Eh? Me?
Something Mr. De Rousseau just said seemed to make you, well, it seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What was that all about?
Cavallo, at times like that, you don't want to have the capo after you, believe me. And I speak from a personal esperienza.
Personal experience?
That is enough, Peppino. There is no need to say any more. The truth is, the night before we put the red-headed league plan into action, I was scared. It was not fair to the capo, but I tried to run away.
It's a shame you didn't manage it.
But the capo, he came after me like the turbine, huh? And he dragged me back to the house, kicking and screaming. I still have the bruises to prove it, eh, capo?
Bruises, you say?
Ah, you want to see, huh? You want to see my fantastical bruises?
That is enough now, Peppino. Nobody wants to look at any part of you.
What to do? I show you. I don't. I show you. Oh, I don't.
You do now!
Allora, if everybody wants to see, then I do it. See? Ecco, you see? It's still very visible, eh?
That red ring around your neck. You got it that when you were dragged back to the house.
See, the couple, sometimes it's very enough.
I said that is enough!
Peppino's neck is nothing to do with what we are talking about here. You have not read.
Yes. What is your opinion, Council? About this red ring about... I wonder, does it matter? Maybe. We need to get somewhere. Mr. DeRossi, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck.
You see? Everyone is interested in what I have to say, eh?
Ugh. Very well, you will amend your testimony as requested, Mr. DeRossi.
You see, if you really want to know. He tried to escape, but the capo put the collare, like what he did to me, see?
But, wait, does Gregson have... I mean, I can't see crap with the collar, but, like, can someone confirm that... I mean, the autopsy report didn't say anything about neck thing, did he? Did it? Oh, what do we present? Something visible, or they didn't note it down? Hey, I thought this through, right? If I get a penalty, don't say I didn't think it through. I mean, a game can, but like, I thought about this, alright? So, I'm going to try the photograph first, because, you know, that's immediately obvious, because I'm not sure if we can share this to these randos, right? These criminals. So, I'm going to try the photograph first. You can see, kind of, that there was nothing going on the neck. So, let's try it. Okay, great. Fantastic. I'm glad we're on the same page. So, the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito. Yes.
No, it was not like that. It was hardly a prison. It was an invitation to stay. It was only...
However you describe it, there's one glaring inconsistency that remains. What inconsistency is this, Council? I would ask the court to look closely at this photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. You will see that there is no red ring visible around his neck.
But that makes no sense. It was me who took the collare off the man in the morning. And I saw the red bruises on his neck like I have.
Given that the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we'd expect to see bruising on the victim who was put in the collar more recently than Mr. DeRossi. Indeed, that is most peculiar.
But what we tell you, huh? We say this from the beginning, many times.
You is right. The man in the photograph is somewhat different to the man we held captive that night.
Oh damn, they were serious. Order! It would appear then that on the day of the incident, the man who visited the park on Lime Street posing as an incognito inspector was not Inspector Grayson at all.
Objection.
That's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? What's going on here indeed? This is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made that assertion itself. Oh, throw it right back at you. I'm sorry. Should I be sorry? That wasn't mean. Anyway, we also know that the inspector had made a note about the Red-Headed League in his diary for that day. Which surely means we can't divorce the two events completely. So if he wasn't with the... Anyway, the inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling. If it were the real Inspector Gregson whom these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies explanation. We need a new lead. But equally, if they actually encountered an imposter, how did that person come to be in possession of the real inspector's identification? Does the defense have some plausible explanation, counsel? The whole thing defies explanation. It's for precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes in the court record, Mr. Nuddlehuddle. Because those are the facts, and the facts cannot lie. If they're not tampered with. No, the facts can't lie. Even when they point to something so incredible, it's almost unbelievable. Well, my lord, the true identity of the person who turned up in the park is revealed by information in the court record, I believe. Alright, I think we'll have a once-over, shall we? I know, I keep looking at it, but like... Okay, so this is the real identification, right? But that doesn't prove where Gregson was, or like who actually was in possession of this, so... This one, it was just at the scene, it's broken. I'm not sure if it indicates a particular person. Yeah, Grayson's possessions, but yeah, apart from that, we've got no one else in mind. Perhaps the culprit? I don't know if Von Zeeks would have an alibi for that time, but... Oh yeah, I'm surprised we didn't get into that, but oh well, we're just... Oh, sorry, ranting. We just proved that this was used to stage a shooting that didn't happen, so... But yeah, I don't think we're necessarily saying it was Venus. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we've absolved her yet. Notice board... Well, Venus moved it, right? Okay. I don't think we've got anybody else. The crime scene... Well, apparently that's not what it actually looked like at the very moment of the sound. What does this say? Yeah, the time of death has been omitted. Interesting. We might want to consult the coroner about that. Maybe this person might help us later, but I guess we can't summon them now. The shooting... Perhaps someone from the judiciary? Oh wait, no. Actually, no, this doesn't prove crap. My bad. Okay, hold on. Give me a moment. Controller's being very weird today. My word. Okay, no, I don't think that's evidence anymore. Perhaps not. Yeah, again, this is paired with the firecrackers. Again, another one of Gregson's possessions, but not necessarily pointing to someone else. Whose gun is this? And it was cold. Ooh.
Anyway, I don't think this is going to come into play quite yet. Yeah, we were chasing around for this. And this is what we're talking about now. Ah, but aside from the court record, like the evidence part, there's also profiles to consider. So, oh my gosh. Just keep that in mind. I think we've been doing once-overs long enough. I do apologise, but just making sure we're all on the right page here. Good gracious! Very tantalising, Mr. Naruhodo. So, why don't you help us all see whatever the truth is you've apparently seen? Who exactly was this inspector that appeared before Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi? Or an imposter who just happens to be in possession. Though it seems incredible, I admit, the undeniable facts point to only one thing. Since no bruising can be seen on the victim's neck, the person who these two red-headed men took prisoner that day cannot have been Inspector Gregson. In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time.
Objection.
Yeah! On the contrary, I haven't finished! What? There's no bruising on the victim's neck. So the question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification?
See, that's right. We tell the same story every time. Whoever this man was, the couple dragged him from a pillar to post with the dog Calare. Mon Dieu, Pipino, it was not harsh as you say, huh? Who was that, the false inspector, eh? Who was he?
Clearly the defense has an idea about that. About the true identity of the man these two imprisoned that night. I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post-haste. Who did the witness encounter? Alright. So I think we can eliminate the ladies. He doesn't have a bruise. He doesn't have a bruise. If it all hinges on someone with a neck bruise... Wait, hold on, where's the person I'm looking at? Ah! Looky here.
Take that!
Goodness me! Isn't that...
One of the witnesses who was in the stand in this very courtroom earlier today. A nameless man, whose only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay to passerbys.
Objection.
What? What on earth would a street peddler be doing with a police inspector's identification papers? Witnesses! Is this the man or not?
What has happened to his lip?
Huh?
See, this man is not for the red-headed league, eh? He's a man looking for the twisted lip league, no?
Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should bite your lip instead.
Hey, but it seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier,
I noted something around the man's neck. A red ring of bruising. What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand. I have my reasons. I thought this through. Bailiff, bring the aforementioned witness back to the courtroom. Immediately. There you go. What'd I tell you? Bob's your uncle.
oh, I never An undeniable ring of bruising indeed, and identical to that of the witness beside him.
What's going on here, eh? What was that with me? It's a birthmark, isn't it? A birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you. Hey, about that inspector again. I'm telling you, you got it all wrong as usual. You're denying all knowledge of it. Well, of course I am. Are you trying to tell me what this nonsense, eh? Well, at least you'll be having more stories to peddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. DeRusso and Mr. DeRossi, I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you?
Do you have any choice?
You're in a big trouble, eh, couple? That's quite enough dilatory chatter. Proceed with the testimony.
The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man.
It's right, see. You think we would forget those grand lips, huh? I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I've got no interest in any red-headed league. I'm all alone in the world, me. With no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? Just look at me, eh? Does it look like to carry off in disguise with a face like this?
It would certainly appear that we have the wrong man. What have I been telling you, huh? There was no need for this pointless testimony.
Still have the right to cross-examine, don't I? That's right. I'm just a simple man, peddler, remember? Fresno Street's all I know. How would I come by a police inspector's identification book, eh?
It's hard to explain, but... Brief cross-examination, I think, counsel. Very brief.
Anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be onto something?
I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Naruhodo.
Fine! After all we've been through. Forget this. Fair. I mean, wouldn't you like money, maybe? So, you heard of the Red-Headed League, had you? You don't get a name like gossip for nothing, eh? It's my business to know what's going off in town. I sold that tasty tidbit to a few redheads that came past me. Just between us, I even got a sandwich to go up for it.
Well, it does have a very red nose, if that counts.
Who knows? Oh, but as you can see, my own hair's got not a hint of red in it. And in any case, Fresno Street's no patch. You won't catch me sidling off to some other part of town. No, sir, not likely.
Excuse me.
You've seen him before, Mr. DeRusso.
Ugh! Can I help you?
Did Mr. Gossip's words just now lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps?
It was the other day, when I was looking for a place near the back. A small house or something.
To be the headquarters of your Red-Headed League, yes.
I visited an housing estate agent on Lime Street, and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent.
What? Mr. Gossip, with a housing agent?
He had some kind of a contract in his hands, and they were clearly discussing terms. No, you're mistaken, chum. I've never left Fresno Street, mate. Like I said before.
Why are you sweating then?
You're mistaken me for someone else. Someone with the same face. No, the couple is right. I remember it too. He was paying the money with the banknotes.
With notes?
Like I said, no, that wasn't me. I was curious why this man with the dirty clothes had so much money. So I looked at the name on the papers.
And what name was written? Mr. Gossip?
No, this man, he lies. He tells you that he has a no name. But in fact, his name is Hugh Boone, huh? He's better than Mr. Gossip, I think, see?
Oh!
And the peddler took bits of information, like I said, on Fresno Street. That's that! I don't much like talking about my personal life.
Indeed. And it is not the intention of the court to invade the privacy of witnesses. Very well. I shall respect your wishes, sir. The aforementioned name shall be redacted from all court records of this trial, assuming no objections.
Oh, I have one.
I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case. Good gracious! Do you similarly object, Prosecutor Osogi? As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings. Oh, never! In what capacity? Hugh Boone. The name of the leaseholder of the room! Let me put this very simply. The victim's body was discovered in your rented room. I suggest, sir, that you start talking!
Alright. I suppose that might be the case, eh?
So your real name is Hugh Boone?
Just between us, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but there's no fine peddler tidbits in this town. So I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room in a fallen down back street townhouse.
You do?
And once every 6 months, I go and pay the rent to the agent on Lime Street. Hey, I remember now, there were 2 vulgar redheads in there last time. Hey, if either of us is the vulgar, it's not the me.
Think again, Pipino. Why didn't you bring this up before?
Like I told you already. I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a chip pill as far as everyone else is concerned. I fuss.
You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone.
If I must.
So the leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since the body was discovered. Has been here under our noses all along.
Ah. I rented the room. What difference it makes?
Hold on a second, there was something you said. You've got no kinfolk. Then what is this photograph doing in your place?
Objection.
If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why is it that among the sparse furnishings, we found this photograph in the room?
Ah.
I presume, as you've been renting the room, that this photograph belongs to you, does it not?
Well.
Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are.
I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler. I keep telling you so. You really don't need to bother with me. Please, just leave it alone.
As the man says, Leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life, it has no bearing on this case. Because it's simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Gregson. What do you mean? He just came in with a name. How can you be so sure? Just look at the man. No amount of disguise could ever hide those unmissable features.
Objection.
But what if we were to look at this the other way around? What do you mean? Yes, Counsel, what do you mean? Well, there's no denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip is itself part of an elaborate disguise. Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? Good witness! I'm still hiding the truth from this court! If that's a disguise, then underneath it, his true identity must be... Yes, that's right. There's really only one person he could really be. My lord, the defense believes it can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court. Please, no. Very well then, counsel. What is the true identity of this peddler who simply goes by the name of Gossip? Well, if you have a photograph of this lady, then perhaps...
Take that!
Your real name is actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Mr. Daily Vigil. Yeah! I don't recall that name, Counsel. Who is this Mr. Vigil? It's a name I encountered yesterday, my lord. It has nothing to do with... Yes, to do with a certain client of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A young gentlewoman came to the detective asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact. This is Mrs. Vigil. What? From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. But of course, on that night, you were being held captive by the two red-headed League men. And last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial. Because we've been led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we needed to know where we could find you, of course. And that explains why we've been able to return home, but also unable to contact your wife, who's been beside herself with worry, waiting for you at the Vigil residence. Now, just hold on a minute. I don't know what I'm talking about. Really? It's a simple enough matter to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise! No, please. Bailiff, bring soap, a sponge, and a washball at once! Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi, you will restrain them. You trust them to do that? Ye, my lord! See, my lord! Well, they've done one thing, right? Oh, stop! No! Please! Don't! Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume. Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witnesses, tell the court. Have you seen this man before?
I don't believe it, but... See, there is no question. This is the inspector we saw in the park. Extraordinary.
On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, the man claiming to be Inspector Gregson who appeared before Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi in the park was you, disguised as an inspector. Or rather, was you posing as the inspector in no disguise at all. Well, apart from a wig, I guess. Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the chief warder at Barclay Prison. The chief warder? Then your career had promise. Why, you would quite possibly have become the future governor of the prison. What on earth have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle on Fresno Street? Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years. I'm really dreadfully sorry about all of this. Yes, it's true. I am daily vigil. And you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison 10 years ago. So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented. Well, evidently there was a great deal under the surface here. I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become. As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment as Barclay's chief warder came to an end. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. Times were hard in London. I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Fresno Street. But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you are the chief warder at Barclay Prison. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I never told her. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Fresno Street. The scene of the very crime we're investigating. Yes, that's right. A place from which I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler. Transform myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine, you see. I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room. That explains it. Why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons. Without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them. So instead, you decided to conceal your occupation from them. Yes. It's such a terrible mess of everything. Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece, you couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder at the prison. Very true. You have kept your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment. to Inspector Gregson. Inspector Gregson? What on earth? Some years after I'd invented Boone and began my life as a street seller, he, the inspector that is, recognized me one day. Do you mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours? I knew him from my time working at the prison. When he saw what I had become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. From that day forward, he visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity. Then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him. Secret? What was it? It was to impersonate the inspector. What? Impersonate him? We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me. Visit or cease tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress. There's always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people. On those occasions, he would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. For those services, he compensated me financially. A Scotland Yard inspector willingly relinquishes identification into your care with intent to deceive. That, as I'm sure I need not point out, is a very serious criminal offence. But why? What was the point of you impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if I end up a croaker. Here he is spilling the juice. In time, he started to bring papers with him into the room as well. It became something of a second office for him. He didn't question any of it. So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really... Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my Boone disguise, and then went as instructed to the park, armed with the inspector's identification book. It never once occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case. Wait, what? Explain yourself, Prosecutor Osogi. My learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered, at the hands of these two red-headed league men when they imprisoned the inspector. But no, that can't be. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day. It was me. Oh, goodness. We just have to find out where he actually was. Finally, we have clarity. We had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Défense, for proving it. Back to square one. Order! Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. These witnesses have no involvement in the murder of the victim. As proven, somewhat ironically, by the defense. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination.
Hold it.
Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness. Kazuma? What question can... Oh, I have a bad feeling about this. It concerns the events of 10 years ago. That's not relevant right now! I believe you would have been present at the very significant execution that was carried out at the time. 10 years ago. The execution of the professor. Kenshin Asogi! I want to know exactly what your involvement was! Oh. Answer me, man! One moment, counsel! This is related to the current case! Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. Does the defense concur, counsel? Cosmo, you're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. Cosmo-sama, no wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago tell the tale of Kenshin Asogi's last moments. His own father. I know. I do understand that. But even so... Prosecutor Asogi. Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? I need you to trust me. Please. We don't even get an option! Very well, then the defense has no objection. I see. In that case, you will answer the question, witness. The truth is, I remember very little of that time. You've forgotten! I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Resigned? For some peculiar reason. My memory of events leading up to that moment is all extremely hazy. Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Well, 10 years is a long time. But to have forgotten the reason why he left such an important job. You're right. And not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. So, the human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. The seal is broken, the memories resurface. And when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. What the f is this wording? I really don't... Kazuma-sama. But if it must be crushed, then so be it! Because the truth will not stay buried! It's coming out! One way or another! Dude! Right. Now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth at any cost. Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. Should I? I don't know. This is not relevant! If it could genuinely crush the man's spirit, I can't be responsible for that. I don't have the right. Kazuma-sama won't rest until he knows. Find out on another point! After court, this is not related to the case. This is a court of law, where nothing is more sacred than the pursuit of truth. Oh, I mean, true, but like... How does he get away with this? Oh, I believe in being important. It better be. So Sato-san's right. I knew the risk when I took the decision to fight this trial. Whatever the consequences, I can't shy away from my responsibility. Oh, Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this evidence that clearly. Oh, this is not going to end well indeed. Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, yes. In other words, you claim to have left the post of Chief Warder of your own volition. Yes, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. It's a dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment. Dismissal notice. And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? It's mine! So you didn't resign from the prison service at all. For some reason, you were dismissed as Chief Warder from Barclay. There's been some mistake. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. It's dismissal note. It's nonsense. Isn't it? If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been a good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember! This isn't right, dude. According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on 17th of June 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison. 17th of June? What's that? The professor's execution. Professor. As you were Chief Warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place! The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave. Came back to life. In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness. However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. This may have been Professor's actual last moments. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down! Well, Chief Warder of Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on 17th of June 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up! Mr. Vigil? Yes, the whole prison, it was complete chaos. Prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. Shocking news ripped through Barclay like a hurricane. What? Order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that the memories have returned? It's like some floodgates have been opened. Images, screams. My goodness. Papers. Reports. Articles about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yes, Enoch Drebber. But surely those reports were exaggerated. There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139. Blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there. The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering. I've reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigation team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting that a prison warden abetted the man's bid for freedom? Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape. You did what? I remember now. The horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower. Oh, not the accent again. I'm sorry, dear Daly, but this is a serious business, and I cannot help you now. As Chief Warder, you're responsible for overseeing the execution of Ford, eh? Well, it seems the fellas at Scotland Yard will want to have a few wee words with you about it. You'd be better back your things, laddie. You're to attend in person.
As soon as you told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew, Professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape. I'm finished. My life is over.
Order! Bailiff, fetch a doctor at once! Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect!
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day. Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.